Thank you for joining us today. I hope that wherever you are, you're safe, and I hope you're well. I also hope that you're taking advantage of all that Groundbreak has to offer. This really is a groundbreak like no other. Before we begin, I just want to say that I'm so excited by what we have lined up for you today. One of the really special things about being at a company like Procore is you get to connect with people in construction from around the globe, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this session. We have construction professionals from around the world speaking about their approach to driving quality and safety within their organisations. My name is Chris Carter, and I'm coming to you from Manchester in England, which is a city with an incredible industrial past, but also where the future is being built in new and exciting ways. And we have three additional construction experts here with me today. We have Lauren coming from California in the US. She's one of Procore's senior product marketing managers and an incredibly experienced advocate for quality and safety in construction, with a long history of working with our quality and safety tools in particular. Then we have Bo Parker in from Australia's East Coast. He is a quality coordinator for ProBuild, a product beta partner and a tier 1 contractor based out of Melbourne, Victoria. And also we have Terry Crawford, also coming to us from the UK. Terry is the construction director at Forsha, who are a really forward-thinking and innovative contractor, which has a wide range of experience across a bunch of areas from structural engineering to residential fit-out. And we're all here really today to address one major challenge, which is how do you use technology to tie compliance to the course of construction? We all know standards and compliance. Compliance with standards like ISO 9001 and ISO 45001 are a critical part of demonstrating competency and a commitment to quality as a contractor. But often compliance becomes disconnected from the course of construction. Every audit sparks a 2-week rush to bring papers together, often involving the most senior members of your team. It doesn't have to be this way. By connecting quality and safety processes onto one platform and being able to view exactly what needs to be done from a single sheet with approval gates and workflows, you can connect compliance to the course of construction. And what we see time and time again is that this comes down to 3 main challenges. Challenge 1, gathering evidence for handover. Traditionally, evidence of conformity and compliance, which is typically collected through ITP management, has been recorded in a variety of templates through hard copy records. Anyone that's been involved in the handover of a project understands how much time can be taken up sourcing this evidence and collating it into legible files, both during construction and on completion of works. Most often, records have been maintained and required checks and balances completed. However, these are rarely collated in one location and are instead stored across multiple mediums and in multiple formats, as each subcontractor's approach to documentation differs based on their scope of works. Challenge 2 is really how do we keep up with the ever-changing conformance requirements? As we know, the industry is constantly evolving and conformance requirements are ever-changing as processes and procedures are refined, reviewed and amended to suit changes brought on by risk management. So there's this real challenge as to how we ensure information is correctly stored, managed and reviewed and vetted in order for works to continue and to be progressively verified as being compliant across the workplace. Challenge 3, and this will be one which is really familiar to all of us, is putting an end to recreating the wheel over and over again. And what's really key here is consistency towards implementation, with discussions in quality management circles always having circled on how we can automate and streamline this process. A common goal is to embody the philosophy of lean construction principles and practices to achieve best outcomes and to ensure works are compliant and completed to a high standard. One solution, and one that contractors in many different countries have organised around, is that of the inspection and test plan. A good ITP, or quality and inspection plan, lays out a schedule of inspections at appropriate stages and showcases critical control points within the process for verifying that things are progressing as they should. It's a provided strategy for achieving your highest quality product to the scope you agreed to. Planned and executed properly, an ITP will ensure consistent output. Looking at the ITP feels straightforward, but executing, collaborating, and bouncing between necessary folders, applications, and drives to deliver on the plan can feel anything but. The challenge with ITPs is that for too long, they've not been digital. They've actually been in Excel or on pen and paper, so that even as some aspects of construction have moved forward on this digital journey, the ITP has been disconnected from the course of construction. That means there's a continual lag between what's happening on site and how that is being recorded in the ITP. But it also means that the ITP is heavily project-based. There's been no way of templatizing the ITP process from project to project. I know that this is something that Terry in particular plans to pick up on later. That's what we aim to change with our Action Plans tool, which Lauren will now talk you through.
Thank you, Chris. The past year has been a really exciting time for our R&D team, as they've been working with construction firms globally to help bridge this existing gap that Chris is talking about, linking compliance activities to the course of construction. And of course, this is about more than just digitizing processes. Fierce competition between firms to win future bids, the necessity to reduce operating expenses in response to shrinking margins, and challenges in recruiting and retaining young talent are forcing the industry to innovate. At increasing rates, the industry is moving more and more towards a digital approach to their quality and safety standards. And while that digitization is a step in the right direction, just because documents are digitally available to be used and stored, it doesn't mean that the overall process is optimized. Digitizing rigid processes is not the sole purpose of technology. Technology is about enabling us to work better and smarter. We believe it's how we work together that matters most, and how that impacts the quality of the product that we're delivering and the individual experience of both the person or the people that build and utilize that product. Because of the connective tissue of Procore's platform, we are uniquely positioned to create an environment that enables teams to do their very best work, leveraging the knowledge and expertise of all stakeholders involved and multiple Procore tools within one collaborative and controlled location. Building off of what Chris addressed earlier, Action Plans effectively tackles each of the challenges the industry is currently facing when it comes to connecting compliance with the course of construction. Action Plans provides a templated structure so that we can put an end to recreating the wheel over and over again, one that ensures knowledge share continues to get passed down and make its way to the next project, one that is flexible enough to ensure that as regulatory standards evolve, as they should, that we as teams are able to easily and quickly add those changes to our plans in order to evolve with them. And finally, building and handing over the full picture of plan outcomes, without having to do searches for unique codes across inspections, forms, submittals, and other documents. That structure exists within the ITP. Therefore, Action Plans does it for you. You built it that way. And with a click of a button, you should be able to turn over the intent of your plan with all outcomes and supporting documentation proving that you've built that intended plan. Side by side with industry leaders globally, we've identified ways to disrupt the status quo for how teams execute on plans and ensure the standards necessary to your country, region, or state complements your final product. Today, I am pleased to introduce to you one of the newest tools to the Procore family, Action Plans. Action Plans helps you execute and deliver on simple to complex quality and safety plans from one collaborative and controlled location. Whether using Action Plans for project startup activities, monitoring progress of trade execution, or for the purpose of ITPs in preparation for commissioning and handover, Action Plans helps project teams deliver consistent and optimal outcomes. The templates create an inviting space for stakeholders to collaborate in and provide the grounds to set intent as a collective before the project begins. With the tool's extensive flexibility, you'll be able to leverage the expertise of all stakeholders, continuously adapting and optimizing your plans as the project evolves. So as company, project, and regulatory standards improve, so will your plans. Executing on critical plans has never been easier or more clear. At first glance, you're able to understand how your contributions impact the bigger picture. As you take action, you're able to reference clarifying documentation easily, have insight into stakeholder approvals, and access to the records you need in order to demonstrate the work you've put in place. You'll never wonder if the documents you're referencing are up to date, and your confidence will remain high as you access and deliver on records provided within the action plan. Because as those documents evolve and update, so will the links to this plan. Less time hunting down documents between multiple share files and siloed solutions means your teams have more freedom to focus on the task at hand, and future contributors feel good building on a solid foundation of work. This is a collaborative environment, but while action plans allows for the start and completion of many activities at once, control is at the center of this tool. Verification methods can be applied to every activity, and while a signature, surveillance, or review of work might be sufficient for some line items, not all activities or milestones are created equal. A virtual stop can be applied to key activities, blocking others from proceeding with the rest of the section or the entire plan until required documentation and approvals have been met. So let's turn those milestones into points of celebration, boost confidence across all stakeholders involved, and eliminate the need for expensive impromptu meetings. Let's get back to building, and let's work within a space that complements the standards and regulations created to keep us safe and help us deliver on our highest quality build in the safest possible environment. And that's just the beginning. Action Plans is currently in open beta, and our R&D team continues to roll out exciting and new functionality, like the blocking workflows outlined in the demo, links to additional Procore tools, visual dashboards to view the progress of the plan, reporting, and ways to deliver and share the full picture of your plan with project stakeholders outside of Procore. We want to have this tool in everybody's hands come this new year, and look forward to seeing how this environment is going to help the way you build. For those customers currently listening in that are currently utilizing Procore's quality and safety tools, don't wait for the new year. Join more than 1,000 of your peers in the current beta and help us shape the future of the action plans today. If you're keen to learn more about how action plans can be leveraged, sign up for a demo. I've just dropped a link in the action plans webpage in the live chat. And before I turn it over to Bo, I'd like to say thank you to all those involved in our beta. On behalf of the action plans team, without your feedback and partnership, we would not be where we are today. And with that, I'd like to invite one of our most vocal beta participants, Bo Parker of ProBuild, to share his experience and insight and how he sees action plans changing the way that we build. Bo?
Thanks, Lauren. It's great to finally see the demo shared with a much larger group of people today. I've been looking forward to seeing how the Procore community reacts ever since I was first introduced to action plans back at the start of 2020. I remember back then instantly recognizing the benefits of going digital with a process of record keeping that to date, most of us have managed through hard copy records. The fact that action plans brings all of this together and allows collaboration between all stakeholders through the entire build process is as exciting now as it was in January. And after seeing the demo, many of you here today are probably thinking the exact same way. And if you've got further questions throughout this presentation, why not ask me them now in the live chat? As Chris mentioned earlier, I'm part of the ProBuild HSEQ team. And throughout the last 7 years with the business, I've been lucky enough to see and be a part of positive cultural change towards the management of quality assurance. While working for a tier 1 builder means I have access to and get to work on the biggest and most iconic projects across Australia, which allows collaboration with some of the best trades and subcontractors in the market. Throughout my career, I've been involved in many different aspects and types of construction, including residential apartments, hotels, commercial tenancies, and offices, to name a few. Across all of these projects, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing the drawings you come to memorize be brought to life. And I would be willing to bet most of you feel the same way, with all of us sharing a sense of pride when we are in the vicinity of an old project, while of course reciting, "I built that," every time we drive by. If I had to guess why most of us are so proud to stake a claim on projects that we have been involved in, it's because we know the work that went into them. And we know how hard it can be to keep track of all those responsibilities throughout the construction phase. That unconscious nod you're doing right now, That's exactly why I joined the beta for the action plans tool. I wanted to say, I helped build that. Over the last 12 months, we've seen our internal management systems overhauled to incorporate Procore into everything that we do around building safety greatness and adopting lean construction principles, as we ensure we always look towards systems improvement. The people behind the action plans tool understood this. And so when I was invited to the beta, we set out to achieve many things, but one thing above all else, and that was confidence. Confidence, the finished product we all hand over to the client meets all the required building codes and standards, which in turn ensures that the safety and peace of mind for its occupants, once practical completion is achieved, is consistent across all of our handovers. With this mindset in place, I worked with Procore's research and development team and various collaborators globally to achieve a product that's easy to use, ensures compliance expectations are easier to understand, and most importantly, it empowers active participation from suppliers of products and subcontractors through to consultants, builders, and developers. Everybody in this industry has their own views and management styles, and most of us do things a little differently. Consistency in a live environment can be very challenging, but we can achieve consistency through true collaboration. And in order to do that, you need an environment that makes that collaboration effective. Throughout the beta, all suggestions around this environment were and continue to be considered and responded to in one of the most professional working groups I've been involved in. And if these tools are embraced, it really opens the doors for construction trades to take further ownership of their monitoring systems implemented across projects. And getting involved in the creation of action plans ensures that content and obligations of all parties are agreed to upfront before work commences so that unforeseen issues are reduced as much as possible. The biggest areas I see this being achieved in is through the use of company templates. Those with company admin permissions on Procore can build out baseline templates that are applicable across a large scope of works and across various trades. The beauty of creating these at the company level is that all users within your organization can access these at the project level. In fact, the template you saw in the demo earlier is one such example that I've been working on for waterproofing. As you'll now see on the screen, a user can create templates and insert prompts within in order to encourage teams at the project level to build off a company level template and insert any additional items in line with project specific requirements. By managing the action plans in this way, organizations can ensure baseline templates set the minimum build standards required and all but guarantee that the non-negotiables remain consistent across all projects. For management staff, imagine how much easier training and onboarding of new staff would be if no matter what site they attend, the information and requirements of your organisation were always the same. Misinterpretation of standards, whether at the company level or within the industry, is going to be much less likely. And as Lauren mentioned earlier in the product demo, the ability to edit and optimise plans also extends past just the project stakeholders and site teams. You might have industry reforms or legislative changes that demand content and requirements captured on site be reviewed and or updated and changed. Previously, this process may have been cumbersome, but now updates can be completed easily with new requirements inserted and implemented with a few keystrokes. With those larger projects, it's always a risk that project collaborators that were around in the early phases of construction may no longer be available or have relocated to other sites as your project nears completion. Luckily, this will no longer be an issue as action plans records remain with the project teams, regardless of any collaborators that may have taken information with them. We've all been there, it's challenging, it's a thing of the past. For those in design management, action plans can be utilised to highlight changes with the design and construction methodology that might occur midway through an area that's already under construction. And your ITP can be updated accordingly to ensure new considerations are captured quickly without having to cease works. For those focused on project cost, imagine being able to vet claims and completion of works by reviewing records and signatures provided by the party submitting that claim. For subcontractors listening in, this can work the other way around too, backing you up when works are complete, as they can be easily referenced and demonstrated. And what about supervisors? Well, you're always on the phone. You might be unable to review a hold point that a subby needs approval on. You can't be everywhere at once to access and review the evidence. I've been there, it's just not possible. But with Procore, a thumbprint and you're on your phone, accessing the record and giving it the approval needed to proceed without having to set foot in the room in some cases. Any delay is now simply the time it takes you to log in. Imagine how much you will get done. As action plans are adopted as a management tool, your teams can help shape the future of the industry and ensure that we set the bar around expectations of what it means to build to the highest standard and achieve finished products that we are all proud of. The construction industry, as you're all aware, has so many moving parts, and it can sometimes be difficult to keep track against all of our obligations to stakeholders. Soon, this tool will provide stakeholders with the confidence that all aspects of the build have been completed to the requirements of the project. A status of who did what and when, embedded within action plans, means that accountability has never been easier to determine. This allows site issues that may arise to be resolved sooner and recorded adequately. Just think how quickly issues in the past could have been resolved if that record you know exists but can't remember where it was saved could be easily located. Today, when you think of action plans, if you only remember one thing, please listen to me now. Connecting compliance with the course of construction has always been a challenge, and undertaking a task is only half the equation. Recording it is what's really important. We as an industry need to be consistently thinking of how can we do it better, with an attitude that all construction tasks ideally be completed once and done right the first time, every time. Collaboration, networking, and continuous improvement is what constantly drives quality assurance outcomes. The Action Plans tool is a platform that I believe will see this realized, with the added benefit of having time-saving implications, and will most likely result in increased productivity amongst follow-up trades and the agreed sequence of works. We live in challenging times in 2020, and we've seen a huge focus this year on what we can't do in other aspects of our lives. So let's focus on what we can do and do it well. I'm sure you all have questions, so please fire up the chat function and have at it. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Bo. Those tuning into this session are the people that will really influence where quality and safety standards go in the construction industry, and we believe action plans will help them do it. With that, I'd like to turn over to Terry Crawford, Construction Director at Forcia Limited, for his perspective on what the industry is facing and how he sees action plans influencing that direction.
Thanks, Chris, for the introduction. I'm delighted to represent Forcia in today's discussion. But first, I'd like to take some time to think back a while. From an early age, I wanted to be a civil engineer. This came after seeing my father and his colleague review the plans for a scheme while sitting at our kitchen table. My father never let me forget the discussion we had after his colleague had left the house. I asked, "What does that man do?" He replied, "He's a civil engineer." I said, "I'd like to be a civil engineer." Note to any parent out there, if your young child mentions they want to be an engineer, keep reminding them until the university applications are in. Clearly, that was many years ago, but I'm delighted to be involved with Procore in their plans and also get a glimpse of how companies like ProBuild are immersing themselves in the Procore technology. At Forcia, we pride ourselves on the breadth of challenges we tackle. We offer construction management expertise from structural engineering through to high-class residential interior fit-out, including the in-house building services team that we have. We are most proud of breathing new life into listed buildings. We look to provide an analytical approach to all our projects from tender stage through to construction and the handover. Forcia were drawn to Procore by the fact that they took a global view in solving the day-to-day problems that we all have to overcome in construction. As we know, engineers are here to solve problems. That includes engineers from the built environment and now equally from the software engineering side. It's a belief of mine that we need to continue to build the relationship between construction and tech. We need to challenge and test each other, and that's why we're here today. Throughout our careers, and let's be honest, even sometimes on a weekly basis, we can feel like we are solving the same problems over and over again. I suppose that's why quality assurance and quality control processes came about. Unfortunately, construction can sometimes test the ability to have the right processes operating. And the truth is, the vast majority of construction is essentially custom work. There's no reliable roadmap for most projects. Every project has its own unique and complex stakeholder dynamics. Now more than ever with COVID-19, we're working with mobile decentralized workforces, and one weak link in the chain can make it impossible to respond effectively to changes you'll inevitably face. As a successful organization, we need to be rigid in meeting our management responsibilities, but we also need to be agile in adapting our approach to be able to deliver on a wide variety of different types of jobs. This is why we feel that Procore's action plans will finally give us the opportunity to perform to our full capabilities. As Bo has mentioned, the number of tasks and operations we all need to perform on site can sometimes appear overwhelming. This is particularly pertinent to new colleagues or those who are stepping up within the team. At Forcia, we realize that we need to create processes that steer and guide our teams through the workdays and weeks and give them the confidence to be able to meet new challenges without forgetting to cover the regular tasks that need constant management. We are very excited at the opportunity to be able to mold both new and existing process within the Procore ecosystem. This will no doubt help us achieve higher standards in safety, quality, and program certainty. One of the great things about Procore is that it offers a framework that allows us all to be creative. Your customer success manager will probably be able to attest to how differently we all use Procore. Our aim at Forcia is to continue to push the system to help us evolve. And as I said earlier, avoiding teams from going over old ground is something we all need to avoid. I have no doubt that the different ways we all use the system help Procore in their plans for the future development of the software for all our benefit. The big question as always is, why are we here today? In my case, I'm excited to see the product firsthand and learn about how we codify our various systems to give us a clear path to deliver even better projects. As we know, this requires massive collaboration across the board. I'm confident that the evolution of Procore brought about by action plans will help us move forward. We are, by design, forward-looking contractors, and we are very confident that this will help us continue to break new ground. I'd like to pass back over to Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those comments, Terry. I agree with you that it is definitely our aspiration to be a real partner to the industry. I hope that what we've shown is that even though the construction process is complex and overwhelming, it is possible to put a method to the madness. We've invested in the industry globally to make it possible to move through the build phase in a consistent linear path from pre-construction to occupancy. It's also about driving iterative improvements. Tom Peters, the author of In Search of Excellence, has a favorite quote of mine that it's easier to improve 100 things by 1% than it is to change one thing by 100%. And what that quote really speaks to is that continuous improvement really works best in baby steps versus giant leaps. Terry said it perfectly. How do we go about solving new problems in new ways? That's what being a groundbreaker is about. What we're trying to achieve with action plans is supporting contractors like ProBuild, like Forcia, on that process of identifying the problem, breaking the work down into steps, identifying the weak links, and determining the remedy. And as a company, we're passionate about solving that by connecting all of your information and teams on one single platform. Thank you for showing up today, your participation, and we look forward to continued partnership in innovating and pushing this industry forward. Thank you.